Hello everybody. First of all, before we get started, a happy new year to everyone. I hope you've all had some good time during your holiday and you got to rest. Let's hope that 2021 is going to be better than 2020 for all the obvious reasons. And now let's go into why I'm doing this video. A lot of people start the New Year's resolution in January, and one of the most common one is people want to start exercising. And the most common question that I'll get is, what is the difference between Pilates and yoga? Which one would benefit me more and which one would suit my needs? So I want to delve a little bit into what the differences are, discuss how they came to be, and what you can expect from each class as you start embarking on your fitness journey. Let's start with Pilates. So Pilates was designed by Joseph Pilates and originally was called Contrology. Joseph Pilates started creating his method during World War I, as he was a prisoner in UK prison, and he was working with prisoners who were bedridden as he was trying to get them back to a normal, healthy lifestyle. I wouldn't say lifestyle, more like some kind of rehabilitation, giving them some kind of rehabilitation. So Pilates was a gymnast, he was a circus artist, his father was a gymnast, so he had a good grasp of exercise in general. He also, during his lifetime, he tried boxing, he did dancing, he did all kinds of stuff, he did yoga. We'll get to that. So what he did, he took all of these together and he created a method of his own. He created something he called Contrology, and the main reason for that is because as you go through the exercises, there is a huge demand in control of breath and in control of movement. He published his first book, which was called Return to Life Through Contrology. I think it was around 1940, 1942, but I'm really rough on the dates here. And he moved, after the Second World War, he moved over to America and he developed his method even further. In the book, there's about 32 exercises, and these are considered the golden standard of Pilates. And these exercises have, as I said, have a background in gymnastics, yoga, and other forms. But he didn't stop there. He developed his method even further until he died around the 1970s. And the teachers who took over, they have now developed many more exercises. Usually the idea that we have when we teach Pilates is that any exercise can be considered a Pilates exercise as long as you follow the principles, which is keeping your balance, keeping your breath, and keeping control of the full exercise. It was named Pilates after his death. The method changed the name from Contrology to Pilates. The focus of Pilates is a lot around what we would call the core, or the spinal muscles, the torso muscles. So we got abdominals, back muscles, spinal muscles. So there is a big focus on the spine, because Pilates understood that if the center of the body is strong, then the rest will follow. So we have a very big focus on rehabilitating or bringing the spine back to its normal function. Having said that, Pilates is an exercise method. So it's exercises. You go into a class and you start doing exercises in sets, repetitions, pretty much what you would do if you did a normal training session. Now let's move into yoga. Yoga is a bit more complicated story, so we're going to divide yoga into two periods. So when people say that yoga is about 2,000 or 3,000 years old, what they refer to is the ancient yoga texts and how yoga originated around more than 2,000 years old in the Indian Vedas and Upanishads. Now, the distinction between that yoga is that it was a lifestyle. It wasn't exercise. The original yoga was a full lifestyle of living an ethical life, of eating a certain way, exercising to keep your body healthy, acting in a certain way, meditating. So it was a complete lifestyle with the goal of reaching enlightenment. I don't want to get into what enlightenment is or what it's not. That's a completely different story, and it's not up to me to get you through it. The original yoga was practiced mainly in India, and then it spread throughout China and Japan in other forms. And we have written content that before the Buddha arose, which was around 300 BC, or Gautama, there were thousands schools of yoga. There were strict schools which resembled monastic regimes, and there were more social schools which people who actually lived in society and were trying to implement that. In the 1900s, in the end of the 1900s, beginning of the 20th century, we have a switch. We have an Ayurvedic doctor named Krishna Maharaja who started taking exercises from this whole philosophy. So he took what we call asanas, or positions, and he would prescribe these asanas into people to help them with their problems. So for example, if your hip hurt, he would give you a specific exercise, or if you had some liver problem, he would give you a different kind of exercise. He noticed that these exercises were quite efficient. So he gathered as many as he could from ancient texts, from culture, from people doing from traditional people doing traditional yoga, and he started teaching them as a bundle. Many of his students were started to become the first yoga teachers, and they popularized Hatha yoga, which is body yoga, so which essentially exercises only. They started to popularize Hatha yoga in the West. Two of the most popular of his students were Pattabhi Jois, who created Ashtanga yoga, and BKS Iyengar, who created Iyengar yoga. So already we start to see a switch from a lifestyle to a more exercise regime. The big moment for yoga happens in around the 19th century. Around the 90s, 80s, 90s, where two Americans create a system called power yoga, which is basically it's exercise. So people start realizing that you can lose weight with yoga, you can become more flexible, you can reduce your back pain. So they introduce it as an exercise method without the spiritual or lifestyle background behind it, because a lot of people would not accept that. After that, there's a bit of a mix. So yoga represents an exercise regime which also contains a little bit of lifestyle or a little bit of spirituality or mental awareness, whatever you want to call it. Again, these terms are very nebulous and nobody really goes into them as deep. But it helps with adherence. People doing yoga, they're also experiencing, from what they say, a release in mental pressure. They also experience a feeling of feeling better, and they also feel like they belong somewhere, because, as I said, the background is more of a lifestyle. So although you might just be doing yoga in your gym, you also, in the back of your mind, you're also getting that idea that this is good for your brain as well, or for your stress levels, or whatever you need it for. The concept of yoga is usually preset exercises, so everybody will start with the same exercise and finish with the same exercise. And depending on what style of yoga you're doing, there's a certain line of exercises which are preset. So you can kind of expect to do the same class over and over again, and the focus is more on the transition between the exercises and being able to keep your mind in the moment. Let's take everything back. Pilates, classic exercise. Yoga, more of a lifestyle slash flowing into positions. The big mix comes from the fact that as they both started to evolve and they both took millions of branches, they resemble each other in a way that Pilates teacher started stealing a little bit of the mindfulness from yoga. Stealing, I mean, you know what I mean. So a lot of Pilates teachers teach their classes like a yoga class, where you have to be like, use a calm voice, keep it mindful, keep yourself always being aware. And then yoga teachers, because the exercises were quite set, they started incorporating Pilates exercises to increase variability. I think that's pretty much it when it comes to those classes. In my opinion, you will not find an original Pilates class or an original yoga class anywhere, and the reason for that is the level. Original Pilates is quite heavy on the spine, so it's quite advanced, while original yoga is nearly impossible because there's a lot of handstands, there's a lot of crazy leg behind the neck stuff that make it impossible for the average person to attend it. So whether you decide to do Pilates or yoga, what you'll mostly find is either in Pilates a set of exercises, sets, reps with some focus on the breath. If you do a yoga class, probably some transitions into easier exercises of yoga, and what the most well known being like down dog or warrior poses, and through that. I hope this video has helped you a little bit, giving you a very rough background on what each of them is. The next question would be, okay, so which one is best? Well, the thing is, in exercise, in general, in fitness, there is no such thing as best. We don't have anything as best. We have what's better for you, what suits your goals, and what do you find fun. And this is the biggest issue, because adherence, we know from research, adherence is number one. Adherence is the most important thing when it comes to exercise. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It matters how long have you been doing it, and are you enjoying it as you are doing it. So my recommendation would be try both, go for both, and if you find that one style of class suits you better than the other one, then go for that. Stay with the adherence. Don't focus so much on the background of any of the exercises. Usually what I would say is that if you're starting a rehabilitation journey, or if you're starting to discover fitness for the first time, Pilates is more of a detail exercise regime, so it might suit you better. And if you find that you are quite stressed from circumstances, or if you find you need a bit more space in your mind, then yoga would be more suitable for that goal. Having said all that, I'm looking forward to some questions. Anything you need, just pop it down in the comments and I will try to get back to you. Any more questions you got, just let me know. Now, as I said, Happy New Year. Enjoy the new year, and anything you need, just let me know. Take care of yourselves.